guide real quick.
Very good.
All right.
Shut up.
All right. I think we're supposed to have 11 that are coming today.
Okay.
So hopefully they'll pop on here soon.
So how many schools are in the district?
We have 13 individual schools.
Okay.
We have some relatively new high school options to our county.
So if you've been on it 13 years, what's new? Did you just renew a subscription or?
No, well, I don't know how many years. I'm not the one in charge of purchasing it, so I'm not sure how many years we have it for or when it was last renewed or anything like that. I just know that we have a lot of newer librarians who have not had Follett training, and I know I myself have not had Follett training in about 10 years.
Aha.
So
okay.
We just need some refreshers.
Okay. So here's the deal.
Okay.
I don't want to bore you to tears. And so if I get to a point where you pretty much all know what I'm talking about, just let me know.
Okay.
And we'll move ahead.
All righty, we can do that. Let's see who all we're missing still. Sandy, is Jessica with you or is she going to join on her own?
I can see Jessica.
There's another Jessica.
Oh, two Jessicas.
Yes, we have two.
So now we have 6.
We can give him just a couple of more minutes and then we can move on.
Very well. I'll leave it up to you. You can let me know.
All righty.
How many relatively new people are there? Like half of you?
More than half.
Okay.
Jessica, how long have you been in the library now?
I think it's around 8, 9 years.
I know we have Lindsay. This is Lindsay Robinson. When she joins, this is her first year. Coley Barrier, this is her first year.
Uh-huh.
I know Stephanie, this is your third year, right?
Yeah, it's my first I guess we're still in COVID, but it's my first normal year, I could say.
Wait a minute. What's a normal year?
I know.
Afraid we're not going to know.
Kids can check out books. I guess that's as normal as it'll get.
Okay.
And there's Greta. Yes, Sandy. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. I know Wendy's not going to be able to make it today. Sydney's not going to be able to make it today. So I thought I would take a few notes for them. So that leaves 11. And, oh, okay. And then I have somebody that was going to try to come to West Marion, but they had a meeting late. Okay. And ladies,
Is there a
go ahead.
is there a thing called a district media center?
We do not have one district media center. We have a technology department.
Okay. And how about the cataloging? Is that done centrally, or is each school responsible for the catalog?
Every school is responsible for their own cataloging.
Okay.
Ladies, I will find the CEU form for, there's Jessica Sutton. She just walked into my library. I will find the CEU form so that you can get credit for this webinar.
By the way, while we're waiting, do you have access to that participant guide, that workbook thing?
Yes, I sent that out this week.
Good. Okay.
No.
You don't have to have it. It's just that I keep
me.
referring to page numbers as we
Okay.
go along.
No, that's fine.
So it just helps you keep track of where we are.
Okay. That is fine. Do you have this? The participant guide? Did you print that one out? Okay. You can, I'll just say, you can look at it with me too. No problem. Let's see now. Who's that? So who are we missing? 1, 2, 3.
According to my screen, we've got 7 participants.
Yes, and then Jessica Sutton is here, so that makes 8. And then Sydney's not coming, that's 9. Wendy's not coming, that's 10. I never heard from Penny. And then I'm waiting on Lindsay. Yep, Sandy's on here. So I think we're just waiting on one more, but we can go ahead and get started, and she can, if she pops on, that's great. Today is a staff development day in our county, so something may have come up at school too.
Here's Lindsay right now.
All righty. And Penny has been a media coordinator longer than any of us, so she may not have needed to hop on.
Yeah, understood.
So we can go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
Okay. Let me introduce myself. I'm Tom Olson. I'm delighted to be with you this morning. I am a 40-year veteran of school library work. I had a career with the Boise Public Schools in Idaho. I was a high school librarian, and then I became the supervisor of library services for Boise Public Schools. We had about 27,000 kids in 50 buildings. During the time I was a supervisor, I supervised the automation of 50 buildings, and I supervised the opening of 11 new school libraries. And then I retired. After I had retired, I just happened to see an ad on the Follett website one day. It says, work part-time, some travel, be a trainer, ? Send us a resume. So I thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. So I sent a resume, and several months later, somebody from Follett called, says, we're adding more trainers. You interested? I said, well, only if you assure me it's a part-time job. I quite like retirement. Oh, no, it's part-time, they said. And so now here I am, 15 years later. I do both on-site and webinar. And so I'm delighted to be with you this morning. I am a little nervous because Stephanie told me she was having a normal year. And after working for almost 45 years in school libraries, I'm not sure what that means. So I'm a little worried, Stephanie. So I'm glad to be with you. Let's turn our attention. I'm going to leave this screen right where it is. In fact, I'm going to show another slide. Down at the bottom of the screen is a number. If you jot that down, please. At the end of the training, there is a end of course survey. And it's an online survey. That's what the address is. And that address is in your book. But it doesn't have the work order number. That's how you get in. And so you have to have the leading zeros, 4 of them, and then 7745. I will refresh this screen at the end of the training as a reminder. in the meantime, it might be helpful for you to jot it down. And I'm just going to leave the screen on this course survey for a minute. And let's turn our attention to the participant guide or the workbook. The first page, of course, is a title page. And then we're going to move along to a table of contents. These are the modules that we'll cover today, with a special note to participants. And I'll leave you to read the special note to participants at your convenience. Just says this is going to be a bare bones essentials overview of Destiny Library Manager. Then we're going to move along to the description of the modules. Yeah, we're going to take a tour. Most of you already know how to log in, or probably all of you now know how to log in. Let me see. Ashley, are you the Destiny admin for the district?
I am one of them now. This just new to that
How
this year.
many are there?
2.
Okay. So this login business is set up by the Destiny admin for the various sites. Ordinarily, the school librarian logs in as either site administrator or library administrator. Some of the mundane library tasks cannot be accomplished if you're logged in as the Destiny admin. That is strictly administrative. And so ordinarily people, and they change the terminology. Sometimes on the screen it says site administrator. Other times, these are in access levels. Other times it says library administrator, and that's where the school librarian wants to log in. They have a lot of authority, but they are not Destiny admin. Okay, so we're going to log in, and then we're going to navigate using those things called tabs and options and subtabs and breadcrumbs. And we're going to look at the librarian functions of Destiny, and we're going to search for library resources with that thing called Destiny Discover. Okay, then we're going to move along for configuring Library Manager for your school. As you already know, Destiny is very powerful and very flexible. It'll do a lot of stuff. To an extent, you can customize it to do what you want it to do in your school. So that is configuring Library Manager for your school. And we're going to talk about circulation types and patron types. That's how Destiny knows a book goes out for 1 week at a time, or 2 weeks at a time, or a month, whatever it is. Through those circulation types and patron types, we're going to set up the calendar. And then we're going to identify some site configuration options. There are options both for catalog and for circ. What about ebook? Now, I notice Ashley's away from her desk. What about ebooks? Do you have ebooks in your collection? Anybody?
Our county bought a few that we all have access to several years ago, but some of the high schools and middle schools may have more. I don't know about our elementary schools. I don't think we have that many. I'm trying to get a big TV over here.
Okay. And so there are separate circulation policies for ebooks. We'll cover them. Then we're going to move on to circulating library materials efficiently. Well, that's pretty easy to learn. You already know Destiny loves barcodes. So you just go to checkout, scan a patron barcode, scan a book barcode, now it's checked out. That's all there is to it. Book comes back in, go to check-in mode, scan the barcode, now it's checked in. It's very easy. Then we'll move along to building your catalog. How are you going to add new stuff to the catalog? There are 3 ways to do that, and I will show them to you as we go along. Okay, let's go on to the next page. Page 2. Let's take a little tour. We're going to log in. And we're going to navigate using those things called tabs and options. We're going to look at the librarian functions, and we're going to look at that thing called Destiny Discover. So let's go to the next page. I want you to see the graphic. On page 4, you'll notice the patron functions are on the left. The patron, either a teacher or a student, is searching the catalog. But they're using a thing called Destiny Discover, which is a separate interface. It's a search interface that uses a lot more color and graphics. As we go through the training, we're going to be using what the librarian uses on the right side of the graphic. That's called the Classic Destiny Interface. And it has a bunch of tabs at the top of the page, dashboard and catalog and so on. And I'll talk about them as we go along. But bear in mind that the search function is really using this thing called Destiny Discover. And it uses a lot more color and graphics. Right from the beginning, one of the complaints about Destiny Classic was, it used a little bit of color. It had a couple of graphics on it, but it wasn't very colorful. Well, kids are so used to colorful use of graphics that a lot of librarians complain, said, this screen's so blah. Can't we have something that's dressed up a little? And the answer was yes. And it became Destiny Discover. Okay, let's move along. Now, please interrupt me if you have a question. Sometimes on your screen, there's an icon where I can see that you are raising your hand. Depending on which device you are using, you may or may not have that icon, and I may or may not see it. And so please, if you have a question, turn your mic on and interrupt me. I want to get your questions answered. Okay, let's move along. Let's go log into Destiny. At this point, I'm going to change the screen. And now, I'm in my own Destiny. Welcome to training. Now, this is obviously a district screen. Ashley may or may not have chosen to display this screen. I don't know exactly how you're set up, and that varies from district to district on how they handle this. So this is a district screen. There are only 4 links on it. American Village School District, that's me. I'm part of the American Village School District. Well, I also have a link to Resource Manager or Midwest District or Professional Development. So I'm going to hover over American Village School District. It's just a link. Notice it's underlined once I hover. And so when I click it, I'm going to be taken somewhere else. That thing at the end of the line is a bookmark. So if you're a bookmark person, that's an easy way to bookmark this page.
Love my TV.
I'm not a bookmark person. I don't use them very much. Okay, so I'm simply going to click on American Village School District. Okay.
Sorry, that's my fault. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
now this is another district page. Again, Ashley may or may not have chosen to display this page because it is a district page. And it's mostly a calendar, as you can see. On the left-hand side of the page are the schools. Elementary, middle school, high school.
Excuse me.
And they all have plus signs by them, which means they are expandable. My library is a high school library. So I'm going to go to high schools. I'm going to click on high schools. And then I get an alphabetical list on the left-hand side of the screen of the high schools in my district. My high school happens to be Julia Grant High School. Okay, I'm going to follow down the list till I get to Julia Grant, and I'm going to click it. Again, there's that bookmark if you're a bookmark person. All right, cool. Now, I'm in the catalog for Julia Grant High School, but I am not logged in. Now, I'm sure you've had this discussion, or you're going to have this discussion. Who logs in and who doesn't? Or is everybody? Or is nobody? I understand that in a K-12 or pre-K-12 school district, a lot of times the school says, well, wait a minute. Those little kids, first graders and second graders, they do have a need to search the catalog, but we don't want to burden them with usernames and passwords. And so, do they have to have a username and password to use the catalog? And the answer is no. On my screen, I am not logged in, but I can search the catalog. Notice I have
Do what?
one tab showing in the upper left. It's called Catalog. Okay, then down the left-hand side are the options. There are only 4 options related to this tab. Since I'm not logged in, I have very little authority. All I can do is search catalog. So I could do a library search, or I could go out to that thing called Destiny Discover, or I can go to resource lists. Are all of you familiar with the term resource list? Do you know what that means when I talk about that? Anybody?
Oh, I can't talk on mine. Some probably do not.
Actually, you're cutting in and out. I can see your
Yes. I think it.
I do not.
There we go.
Okay. Here's what we're going to talk about. All librarians keep lists. You can't help it. Mr. Smith teaches biology. And he comes to me and he says, I want all the butterfly stuff. Cool. I'm going to develop a list for him. Or I'm going to show him how to develop his own list depending on how he logs in. In Destiny, those lists are called resource lists. And so I have a bunch of them. I'm going to talk about them some more later. But that's what that third option is. It lets me access those lists that I have created. You know, just as Mr. Smith leaves, Mrs. Jones comes in. She wants everything that has anything to do with the Korean War. So I'm going to create another list called Korean War. So that's what resource lists are. Okay. And then the fourth option allows me to change the wording of the screen to Spanish if I choose to do that. French is also available. In the middle of the screen, the cursor is blinking at me in the find box. I'm going to put in a search term. Remember, I'm not logged in. I'm going to put in butterflies. Okay. Now, under the find box are 5 icons. Keyword, title, author, subject, series. Whichever icon is first becomes the default. Since keyword is first, if I put in butterflies and hit enter, by default I will be doing a keyword search. As you gain experience, you can actually change the order of those icons. I put keyword first for a reason. A keyword search is going to search multiple fields all at the same time. If I do a keyword search for butterflies, Destiny is going to search the title field, the author field, subject field, series field, plus the annotation field, looking for a reference to butterfly. Now, if I put in the search term butterflies and click on title, Destiny will only search the title field. That's the reason I put it first. Okay, so let's click on butterflies. Let's click on keyword, see what we get here. Okay. Aha! I got 5 hits. This is called the search results screen. The screen we are looking at is called the Destiny Classic screen. Okay, so I got 7 hits, excuse me. Each of them is in its own little sub-window. This is simply a location device. This allows the patron to go up to the shelf and find the book or the video or whatever it is on their own. And so let's look at the first one, Monarchs and Other Butterflies. Under the title is a book. Icon suggesting, yeah, this is a book. There's a call number, and then there's the author. Well, if I go to the bottom of my page, notice the last entry is not a book at all. It's a VHS tape. So I immediately know, oh, if I'm going to use butterflies and moths, I got to have some kind of equipment to play it on. It's not just a book. Okay, let's go back up to the top of the screen. Back up to Monarchs and Other Butterflies. So I got the title, got the icon, I got the call number, author, yeah, it's part of a series. It was published in 06. And I choose to display the Lexile measure for this book. A lot of teachers across the country use the Lexile measure as they are directing children to reading levels. Okay, and finally, you'll notice there are some stars under the Lexile measure. Those stars are student-written reviews. You don't have to use them if you don't want to.
Yeah.
As a way to motivate more kids to read more books, I let them write reviews of the books they have read. That's where the stars come from. There are actually two systems within the review system. One uses stars only. The other one uses stars plus written text. Now don't worry, school librarian. The written text of a review is never displayed until you approve it. When there is a review to be approved, you'll see a little red flag on the top of your screen. You click the red flag and it says there's a review here to be reviewed. And so you can look at it and decide if it's appropriate, and then it will be displayed once you're approved. Okay, so now I'm ready to go out to the shelf and find this book on my own, but before I do that, let's look way over on the right of that sub window. Well, it's not going to do me any good to go up to the shelf. The book is not there. I only have one copy that is checked out. That's why it says 0 of 1. So the rest of them are available, but this one's checked out. Okay, so it won't do me any good to go look for it. Now, when I use the library terms mark record and ISBN and LCCN, do all of you understand what I'm talking about and what the mark record is?
No. He likes to chew words. Yes.
We okay with that? Okay. MARC, Machine Readable Catalog. It's just a big glorified spreadsheet developed by the Library of Congress, and they numbered the cells, and they call them marked tags. So tag 100 is always author, tag 245 is always title, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, I want to see the mark record for this book. When I hover over the title, it's now underlined, which means it's linked, or there's a button at the end of the title called details. I'm just going to click on the title. Okay, so here's my mark record for this book. Now remember, finding materials in your library a year from now, or a month from now, depends on high-level cataloging. You can make an abbreviated record. In fact, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But really, finding stuff within the library and doing research depends on high-level cataloging. Okay, so this is my mark record. I've got the title, and I know the author, and yes, it's part of a series. There's a call number. 0 of 1, local copies available, 0 of 1. Oh, but look, off-site copies, 26 of them. I've got a see all link. I'm going to click it. I can see where they are. Barcode 12 is at my place, but we know it's checked out. Now I'm a teacher, and I desperately need this book for tomorrow. I forgot to tell the librarian. And it's part of my lesson plan for tomorrow, and I desperately need it. Well, I look down this list, and I see, oh, Barbara Pierce Bush High School. I live near there. I go by there twice a day, coming to work and going home. I think I'll swing by Barbara Pierce Bush High School and see if I can borrow their copy of this book. I only need it for a day. And so this is a very helpful list for me. Now, look at my subtabs in the upper right corner of the screen, or what we call subtabs. Notice when I click that See All link, I was thrown over into copies. But I want to get back to my mark record. So I'm going to go back to title details. And here's my mark record. And then the rest of the mark record is broken down into some sub-windows. There's a sub-window called Explore.
That's obviously subject headings and added entries for co-authors and illustrators and stuff like that.
I'm good.
There's
Thank
another
you so
supplemental
much.
publication info, place, publisher, date, all part of catalog. And finally, there's some additional info. There are bibliographical references, there's an index, the interest grade level, that's publisher recommended. A lot of teachers like to use that as guidance in having kids select books. And finally, I choose to display the lexile measure for this book. Okay, so that's it. So now, you already do it, but I'm reminding you that you know everything there is to know about navigating destiny. We've used a tab, catalog. We used some options, library search. We used some sub-tabs on different pages. The only thing we didn't use are the breadcrumbs. They're in the green bar that runs across the top of the screen. The breadcrumbs allow you to move back easily to a previous screen. You're all experienced computer people. And so you know, if you're in a web browser, you go to the upper left corner and click the back arrow or back button. Well,
Can't do that with
weird
Destiny. It
things
drives
can
me crazy.
happen. It might throw you out the leap, and you have to log in again. It might take you someplace totally unexpected. And it actually might just work, just take you back one screen. Okay. If you're using Destiny, you're in a web browser. So if you want to get back to an earlier screen, here's your breadcrumbs. I'll go back one step to my search results. Remember, that was a list of 7 books that met my search criteria. Okay, or I can go clear back to the beginning. Now, I took those breadcrumbs step by step. You don't have to do that. Sometimes your breadcrumbs are going to extend 2/3 of the way across the screen. So you can jump from the last to the first. You don't have to take them all. Okay, any questions so far? You with me? Okay, let's go log in. Upper right corner, you all know how to do this. You are coming into the catalog at a certain access level, which was assigned by your Destiny admins, and they gave you a username and password to get in here. So I'm going to go to the upper right corner, log in. Okay. So now I'm logged in at a high level, site administrator or library administrator. So now you see on top of my page a bunch of tabs. I'm going to go down in your book, a couple of pages. You know how to log in. So now we're going to go to page 7 and take a tour of circulation, cataloging, and other library functions. Okay. So now I'm logged in. So I know you're going to have this discussion of who logs in, or do they have to log in? And sometimes whether you log in or not isn't even up to you. It's some kind of a school administrative rule that you simply follow. My wife and I have a winter home in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is a huge school district. There are about 775,000 kids in the Clark County schools. In Nevada, the schools are set up on the county level. So Clark County is huge geographically, and it includes all of Las Vegas. And so I've substituted in some of their media centers. And at the middle school and high school level, if the student is at a computer in the library, they have to be logged in as themselves, and they have to have their picture ID right out on the table. So I can see, oh yeah, that really is Lindsay who's logged in on that machine. That's not a library rule. They simply follow the rule. It's a district administrative directive. It has to do with computer safety and student safety. And so everybody has to log in at the secondary level. All right.
Do you have yours logged in?
So,
Not yet.
on
on page 7, the first tab we have showing, remember we're in Classic now. The screen is called Destiny Classic. And I have a home page. Cool. You can develop a home page for your school. You're logged in at a high enough level on my screen. You'll notice that in the upper right, it says Edit Page. Okay. So if I click it, this is how my home page is set up and developed. Okay, so you'll notice various levels. There's the introductory text, that's the highest level. And then I actually have 2 groups. One's called Destiny Discover, and one is called Courses. Then I can put a search under the group. So for Destiny Discover, you'll notice I have Search Destiny Discover. So from the home page, kids can just click on that link and it'll take them to Destiny Discover. And the second group is horses, and under that is another link called American Paint Horse Journal. And if the student clicks that, they'll be taken up to a magazine called American Paint Horse Journal. Okay, I'm going to bring the introductory text up in edit mode. I follow along the introductory text line. There's a pencil and tablet, that's edit. And mine's very simple. All I have is the name of the library and the hours that were open. If you put anything in here, don't forget to save. I'm going to cancel it. And I'm going to close. This is what my home page looks like. Very simple. I've got 3 groups. I added one called Fanshawe the other day. So I can click, the student can click on Search Destiny Discover. You take it up there, and so on. Okay, so what if you want a home page, but you don't have the time, energy, skill, or enthusiasm to do it? Now what do you do? Hey, what's the first rule of school technology? Get a kid to do it. You probably got some students in your school who can develop a terrific home page for you, especially at the secondary level. Now don't worry, the home page never gets displayed until you approve it. So they can work on it and then show it to you. Now you have a home page. Cool. Okay, let's go on over to the next tab, dashboard. Why in the world would a school library need a dashboard? Well, because some of you want quick and dirty information at your fingertips at a glance. There are 5 pre-configured displays within Destiny that you could put here and display. Notice the configure, upper right corner. I use only 2 of them. I use holds and overviews. Okay. Because I'm part of a big district, we do a big hold and interlibrary loan business. I have an adult aide who looks at the
I don't have the option for
and he
overdues.
is responsible for all hold and interlibrary loan activity. When he comes in the morning, the first thing he does is go to the dashboard. Any holds to deal with today? Okay, he'll go on about his
Oh,
other
I see it.
duties. And library circulation overviews. It's not that's just a convenience for the kids. It's not unusual when a kid will walk by and say, why are there overviews? I went quickly look at the dashboard. No, Jimmy, you don't have any overviews going up at your school. Okay, now, if the kids are logged in, and remember, if they don't log in, you give up some of the functionality of Destiny. Okay, if they go to notice the last tab on my page. If I click My Info, it's linked to my username and password. Here it is. Nope, I don't have anything checked out. I don't have any textbook, don't have any research. Oh, my land, look at that. Librarian has fines. Shit. Okay, let's go back to dashboard. All right, on down the page. Next tab is catalog. Whoa, look at all my options now.
These are library tools that you are going to use. We're going to use several of them today during the training. So this is high-level library stuff. Yes, I can do a library search, and I can also go out to Destiny Discover. But we can add titles, we can build resource lists, we can export titles. Notice there is an option on there called Tidal Wave. Are you familiar with Tidal Wave? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay. Follett would love to send you a few library books. So to make it easy with this thing called Tidal Wave, it's a way to keep lists as you identify materials that you want to add to your collection. You can log into Tidal Wave. You have to have an account, and it's free. And so you log in Tidal Wave and you keep a list of books that you want to order. Then when you get some money, you can contact Tidal Wave and say, I have $1,000. Buy down my list till I run out of money. Okay, so that's what Tidal Wave does. So we can update titles and copies. Okay. Whoa, look at my subtabs on this page. We did a basic search a few minutes ago. That's pretty painless. We looked for butterflies, and we got, I think, 7 hits. Okay. So we've done that. What's this power search business? Oh, as your kids and teachers become more sophisticated in searching Destiny, they'll learn to zero in and limit their searches so they end up with what they want rather than a list of a billion hits. What happens if you go to Google and put in bears? Yeah, you get a billion hits, so you probably ought to learn to narrow your searches. One way to do that is with Power Search. Power Searches let you link keywords together using what are called Boolean operators, and, or, not. And you can link multiple keywords. In fact, I'll do one in a few minutes, but not right now. What's a visual search? Oh, I see. Visual search searches by icon, not by text. It was obviously developed for non-readers. Don't let that fool you. A lot of middle school librarians adopted visual search as their default search screen. It's almost like a computer game. It's pretty much been superseded by Destiny Discover now. But people who still want to use the classic search screen can use visual search. So a fragile reader comes into your library.
What if you can change your icons, like add more?
So you show them visual search. Oh, sure, we have that.
Mine just says top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And then that word under
Mine has 11.
Let's pick on that, see where that fits.
But there's way more that could be added.
Oh, cool.
That would be fantastic.
We got bears, birds, horses, rabbits, and reptiles. What do you want? Well, I want to talk about bears. Okay, let's click on the bear. And now I got 5 hits. And so you show the child this list. Pick out a book. Let's go find it. The old child says, I want that first one. You say, okay, it's Impossible Rescue. It is a book. Look at this funny number. That's a call number. That's an address. That's how we're going to find this book. It's where it's where the book lives when it's here in the library on the shelf. It's like your house address. If you were ill and couldn't come to school, but you wanted your friend to deliver your homework, or if your friend knows your house number and the street, they can deliver the homework. So come with me. I'm going to show you how to find this book. See this funny number? 979.803 SAN? Come on. Let's go find this thing. Okay, so now we've used visual search. Let's use our breadcrumbs and back up. So there are some pre-configured searches in here, like famous people and holidays. When you loaded Destiny, they were already in there. But you can create your own searches within visual search and then save and use them when you want. In fact, let's go do that. Let's go down to search setup. Notice I have some nonsense ones in here. So let's go down to search setup. And notice the nonsense ADAD. Let's get rid of it. Follow along the line, click on the trash can. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I want to do this. Now it's gone. We go
I
back
don't
to
want
memory
author
search, it's
of
no
the
longer
month.
there. Let's put it back in. Search setup. And then we're going to go to visual searcher. We have to have a group first before you can do the search. So let's go plus file folder and give it the same name it had. ABAB. Okay. Now, you can change the icon if you want to. That's what change image is all about. Where do you get the icons? Well, there are some built into Destiny. If you go into Destiny Help, you'll find a search box, type in graphics. Destiny will bring up, I think there are 3 pages of icons in Destiny in this graphics section. Okay, so I'm not going to change the image. I'm just going to settle for that picture frame, or the question mark in a picture frame. So I won't change the image, but I'm going to save at this point. This is a 2-step process. So now I've got ABAB, so let's add a search to it. Follow along the line to the plus globe, and then give it a name you can remember. Again, we're going down another level. That's why I want you to change the image, but I'm not going to take the time to do that. Okay, so now what do we want to display? There are 4 things we can do. I can direct this out to a website like bears.org. No, that's not it. Category. Look, these things called copy categories. Now, earlier I talked to you about resource lists. Copy categories are also lists, but they're searched differently. But you'll see the ones I have in my copy category. The difference between a resource list and a copy category is the fact that the copy category is linked by barcode, whereas the resource list is linked by keywords in the title.
Okay.
You'll notice that, so I'm not going to use a copy category. And then you'll notice it's called public list. When I was talking to you about creating a list, you can create a list and you can allow teachers to create their own list. You can allow students to create their own list. Now, while the list is being created, it's private. Only the teacher or the student who's creating it can actually see it. But once they finish with it, they can make it public. Then anybody who logs on to Destiny in your school can see that list. Okay, I'm not going to use it, and it becomes public. So that's why it's called a public list. I'm going to go do a power search. Watch this. Let's put in wind, or rain, or clouds. Okay, there's no ways to limit this, so I'm not going to take time to do that. I'm going to save it. Okay, so now you'll see I've got ABAB and then I've got Marion. So let's go back to library search and see what happened. Okay, there's ABAB. I've only got one search under it. It's called Marion. I'm going to click that. And here are my 88 books.
So you have to link it to a list.
Wind or rain or clouds. Okay.
I would put books in there that I wanted, and then they would see where they were.
Go back to library search. That was visual search. We talked about copy categories. They are simply lists.
But like,
books on the list,
if I wanted them to know
there
where
by
the
virtue
Dog
of
Man books were.
We can do number searches.
how would
ISBN,
how would this know where the dog
LCCN.
man, like what I want in each
I can
category?
do a barcode search. All I have to do at this point is scan the
Right.
barcode on the book, I'll pop the mark record, and I do whatever it is I'm going to do. And I could do a brief record search. What's that? Brief
Yeah, I
records
need to
are
get rid of
simply
like all my copy
incomplete
categories.
marked records. We create them on the fly. There shouldn't be very many of them in your catalog. The key to finding materials a month from now or a year from now depends on high-level catalog. And so I can quickly bear to partial mark record because I'm pressed for time. I'm unpacking a carton of books in my office that came in yesterday from Children's Press. Just as I reach in the carton and pull out genetics, who should walk through the library office but Mr. Smith, who teaches biology? He sees that book in my hand and he says, "Oh, Tom, I can't leave here without that book. I think I'm the one who recommended you buy it. We're covering genetics this week and next in biology. I know that new book will be a great help, and so I have to take it with me." He's a fine teacher. I've known him for years. If he says he's not leaving without the book, that means he's not leaving. So I quickly build a partial record. I didn't order the books pre-processed, so I have to catalog it at some point. So I put an author title and ISBN. Slap a barcode on it. Save. Check it out to Mr. Smith and send him on his way. Now, I fully intend to clean that mark record up when the book comes back in, but I don't seem to have the time. Oh, I know. You tell your friends are a school librarian, they say, "Well, that's going to be a great job. You get to sit at a nice desk, drink a cup of tea, read a magazine,
That'd be
check out a
fantastic.
couple of books. What a
Anyway.
great job that would be." Well, they obviously don't know how school libraries run. School libraries are busy, frantic places, so you can't sit there all day and catalog. And so you build these brief records. Now, I know all of you people have better memory than I do. I'm an old retired guy. I get to the 1st of May, and I'm thinking, there must be a dozen of those brief records. And I really need to clean them up. I can't remember what they are. Don't worry about it. Go do a brief record search. Destiny will send you a report, and then you can print the report off and work on it as you have time. So a whole lot of powerful tools in this tab that's called catalog. It's going down the search. Doesn't take long to talk about search. Circle of barcodes. I can check out either two
Right,
whole
that's-
rooms,
I just
or
did
individual
whole
pages.
bunch
I'll
today.
demonstrate that for you as we get there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. Go to checkout. Cursor's blinking at me. It's expecting a patron barcode at this point. Scan the patron barcode. Cursor's still blinking at me. Except now it's expecting a book barcode. Scan the book barcode. Now it's checked out. That's all there is to it. Book comes back in. Go to check in. Scan the book barcode. Now it's checked in. All there is to it. Okay. Let's go on to the next one.
Ask him.
Reports. Oh, gotta have reports. The minute you start to build a catalog, the minute you start checking materials in and out, you'll want a report. Mrs. Jones came through the library this morning, today's library day for her. She said, "If you can give me a list of the books my kids are supposed to have, I'll go and list with them in the room before we get to the library." That helps me. If she'll do that, I'm glad to do it. So we have library reports that are linked to your
That would be
collection.
how it's set up.
We have patron reports that are linked to
It
your
is weird.
patrons in your school. There's actually a thing in there called Report Builder. Many school librarians never even use Report Builder. It's a little bit cumbersome. It's a 7-step process. But
Hopefully
if
you
you
would have
really
access to
have to
that.
dig some kind of esoteric data out of Destiny, you can do it, that thing called Report Builder. And finally, the last one is report management. Doesn't matter where you build the report, whether you're in library reports or patron reports, the finished report is always going to be found in report management. So if you build a report today, but you don't print it, you come in tomorrow and want to print it, you have to look at report management. That's where you're going to find it. Okay. Next tab, admin. We're going to use a few of these options right away. We're going to look at our library policies. That
Like, I
circulation.
want to take all of my CDs out of my catalog.
Patron
How can I do that without doing it individually?
policies. That's how Destiny knows. Oh yeah, first grader
Well,
gets
I
one
go to
book
batch
for 1
delete and
week,
it says upload file.
but a fifth grader gets 2 books for 2 weeks. You do that through your library policies, and they're under admin.
They're all
You can
gone.
set your calendar and
People are
hours
taking
down,
them, and
take a look at site configuration, which
I'm not even sure
customize
how
your
to see it.
screens. And so
See, I didn't set up my
that
copy
under
categories. They
admin.
were set up a long time ago, but things didn't
Okay.
get used.
And so there's a little quiz on page 10, you take the, page 11, excuse me, you take that at your convenience. It's just trying to familiarize yourself with the tabs. So if you're trying to check in a return book, which tab would you use? It'd be in circulation. Yep. Okay. Let's move along. Let's go take a look at that thing, that student interface that's called Destiny Discover. Okay. There are a couple of ways. You can set up different ways to get in here. If I go back to home, notice there is actually a link right on my home page that would let me go out to Destiny Discover. That's one way to get in. I could also go to catalog, and then under the options, the second one down is Destiny Discover. Let's go there. Okay, this is a powerful, powerful tool, using lots of color and graphics. Notice there's a tab called More, that's a pull down, and under More, there is Admin. Through Admin, you can control what this screen looks like. Okay, I'm not going into admin. These things running across the screen are called ribbons. They're in here by default. There are several of them. If this screen is too cluttered for you, you can go to More and Admin, and then tell it not to display popular titles, for instance. Okay. I can go down to recently added books. It's another ribbon.
I wonder if I can make a report somehow.
In recently added books, if I go to the last one that's being displayed on this screen, the weight of feathers, there's a green tag, so I know it's in. I'm going to click on the cover. This is similar to the search results screen that we had in Classic.
Go title and copy list.
So, yeah, I know the author, I know the title, I know the call number. Yeah, there are the reviews. It is a book. I can put a hold on it. Now I know it's in. It's on the shelf right now. But I don't want it right now. I want it a month from now. That's why I'm going to put a hold on it so I can click on hold and create the hold. Okay, and there's more information, including the Lexile. I also include my AR stuff. Do any of your schools use accelerated reader?
Okay.
If they do, you can put that in here. There's a
Okay.
competitor in
Under
AR
basic.
called Reading Counts. Some people use Reading Counts, some use AR. Okay, so now I know more about this book and I can decide if I want to go out to the shelf and find it.
And then I'll just
Okay. Go back, go to the title preview on top,
so that any of those CDs are gone.
hit the left arrow, go back to our ribbons.
So what I'm going to have to do is go to
Topical
my,
searches
what I
already
may have to do
created
is
and
do
housed.
an inventory, like
But
a
as
fake
with
inventory,
Classic,
but not inventory,
you can
and say the
create your
inventory
own
is done,
searches
and then
and
find
add
out.
them to this ribbon.
I guess I
Okay.
could finish off.
Now I have some ebooks in my collection,
Let's see if that would show up.
and so you'll notice most of them are in. Now watch this. I'm going to go click on the cover of Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Okay.
Notice now under the cover, there's checkout and open. Because this is an ebook, from Follett. I can click on open
I don't know.
and read the book right inside Destiny. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on.
But you have to be logged
Well,
in to
maybe
look
I
at
can. I usually can.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're talking about technology, so one never know. There it is. Okay, good.
Oh boy.
So I can read my Diary of a Wimpy Kid
He might.
right now in Destiny. I want to change pages. Well, if I go way over to the left,
Ours do not use
I
this.
can back up the page.
I have like 200 ebooks,
Okay.
but they don't use them. They use like
So let's
ebook
close
and
the book.
the lot-
Notice there are some
the public
editing
library.
tools in the upper right corner. They're not displayed quite properly on my screen right now. I have no idea why, but okay, I'm going to close the book. And I'm back here. Now notice under the ebook cover is checkout. So I can check it out, which is going to put it on my iPad or my Kindle, and I'm going to carry it around with me for a couple of weeks and read it at my convenience. You don't have to worry about overdues with ebooks. Once they've reached the due date, they simply disappear from your device. And so they won't ever be overdue. You just won't see Diary of a Wimpy Kid on your Kindle anymore once it's reached the due date. Okay, so that was another ribbon. Then I've got another ribbon yet for my audio books. Again, you control what shows up on this screen. Okay, so now notice it knows who's logged in. You have to have an account to make this work. Every kid has an account with the username and password. So it knows that I'm the one logged in and using Destiny Discover. Now I want to go do a search. So I'll use the magnifying glass. And let's go look for earthquakes. My report is going to be on earthquakes. Okay, this is good. I've got 15 books about earthquakes in my collection. So I can look through these, decide which ones
I don't
want
know.
to
It
use.
used to be that we had to give
Again, this
them.
is location.
I'm
files.
assuming
See,
now that
most
everything's
of these
Google,
are in, so I
that
just
would
have to
be
shelf and find them.
fine. Let me finish printing. I'm waiting on
Okay.
this to upload, and then I'll log in as
That's
Cutter
good. Now
just
watch
to see
this. Not only do
what
we
it
have
does.
books,
Actually, I'll just grab another Chromebook.
whoa.
Or
Now
find the
this is a
CE
little bit
form.
deceiving. See, these websites are actually an add-on product for Destiny that's called WebPath Express. You have to pay extra to get it. But look how it extends my collection. I had 15 books, but now I've got 500 articles about earthquakes. The advantage of having WebPath Express is the fact that these are reviewed websites. Teachers and librarians have found these websites, reviewed them, recommended that they be added to WebPath Express. That's how they got in here. Okay, so those are websites. So what's this? What about the databases? Oh my land, this really expands the collection. Look, there are over 1,000 references within CNN to earthquakes. So not only do I have my 15 books, my 500 articles within WebPath Express, now I have these massive databases like CNN and Wikipedia. Now, if you subscribe to your own database, like World of Online or National Geographic Online, then you can link it up with this page. So the students can link out to National Geographic Online. Okay, so we took a look at Destiny Discover, and And we did a search within Destiny Discovery. Let's go to this thing that's called collections. Up at the top, there's a tab for it.
I think everybody will mind giving me the last 4 digits of their social. I don't know how to send this paper away. Send me a text. How do we get that? Because I mean, I guess I could send it.
There.
It's a Google sheet. I could just send it out.
Collections are simply lists
Try to print it again. I'll just do that.
that you can create as the
Okay, let me go to
librarian.
the cover.
Or, again, if you go to the word more, and then down to admin,
.com. Okay, let's see what he does.
there will be a section in there called collection policies. You control that, and you can control who can create a collection. You can create a collection. Can teachers create their own collections? Well, yeah, that's the whole idea, but not till you give them permission to do so. Once a teacher creates a collection, who can see it? When they first start out, it's private. If you give them permission, teachers can make it public site-wide. If you give them permission, they can also make it public district-wide. If you give them permission, they can also make it public worldwide. So, if a librarian in Kenya is using Destiny, they can see the collection that your teacher created in Marion.
Hey, are you going to office by chance? Would you do me a huge favor so I don't
Notice
forget?
there are,
Bring me the playground.
there's only one private
So I can feed
collection.
him
I
this
made one
weekend.
without
Thank you.
earthquakes. That's what the private is. And so
Come in and
now,
feed
as
him
we
this
go
weekend.
through these collections, you know who
If it's a
created
long
them.
weekend, then I take him home, but okay. So he goes to West.
Site administrator, that some librarians would just fiddle around with. Michelle Simpson made one. So to list your
Let's see if I
teacher's
log in as
name
Cutter.
and the fact that they created a collection. Now, the following pages in your book are about Destiny Discovery. Yeah, we navigated, we looked around a little in there. We saw our ribbons that you can turn on, that you can display or choose not to display. We searched for earthquakes on page 15. Now you want to narrow your search. There are actually 2 interfaces for Destiny Discovery. There's a simplified and a standard version. So primary school would use the simplified with their kids.
Okay.
On page
Okay.
18,
And sign in with Google.
there are a couple of wild cards that you need to be familiar with.
Click on his name.
They'll enhance your searching capability. In fact, I'm going to leave.
It logged him in using Google.
These pages that we're reading are about Destiny Discovery. I'm going to leave the Destiny Discovery and go back to my regular classic search screen. I'm going to go to the catalog, and I'm going to you can use those wildcards either in catalog searches or patron searches. Okay, so if I'm in catalog, I'm going to go WOM and a question mark. That's one of the wildcards. The question mark comes in the middle of a word. So I want variations on either the singular woman or plural women. As kids become more sophisticated, they're going to learn to narrow their search. I mean, I went to at one of our senior highs. He came in the library and says, "Oh, my paper's due in 2 weeks. I need to read some books." So the librarian says, "Okay, what do you want to read about?" "Well, how about Renaissance?" So at the time, we were using a massive database called WorldCat. So she let this kid look at WorldCat, and he got a list of 800 books. And he says, "I'd like to check these books out so I can write my report." He said, "Let me get this straight. Your report is due in 2 days, and you're going to read over 800 books. Do I understand you correctly? Well, yeah. So then she started teaching them how, maybe we ought to narrow your search down just a little. So as kids search the catalog, they're going
Okay,
to
so
learn to
here's my
use
shelf
these
list.
tools to save themselves
It's
time.
116
So I've
pages. If I
got my
print this
wild
thing, it's
card
probably
question
going to
mark
kill
info,
me.
and I'm
But I
going
don't
to
need
click
to print
go.
everything.
Let's see. No, excuse me. I don't want to do that. I want to go back to basic search.
It just gave me shelf list. Oh, I guess I could. Well, this will at least that way I can go ahead and hit a couple things.
And
My
then we'll search
VHS, my
see
DVD, my
what we get.
CDs, and my
Okay, let's
professional
do a
section.
keyword.
They have moved my professional section
Oh, excuse me.
1,
What they do
2,
wrong?
3, 4, 5, 6 times. So
Oh, no. At the bottom of my
I don't
screen.
want to manage anymore because I don't know where it is. I mean, I
See,
don't know where everything is.
yesterday when I was doing
So I'm
the
taking
webinar, we
everything out
used
except for the brand new books that they
accelerated reader.
just purchased. I'm gonna take
I'm
everything.
going to turn that off, and I'm going to try
And I
my
mean, I
search
hate that
term once
because
more.
there's some things even I know that we have. But I'm just going to say you can go to this
Now
room,
let's do a
this room,
keyword
or this
search
room.
to see
and
what
go
we
to this
get.
room.
Aha, that's more like it. So I've got 21 hits.
Mhm.
Oh, notice these are only videos.
Thanks for
Well,
that.
let's
Appreciate
go
you.
back. What we call that? Oh, of course. See, I'm only searching by video. So kids are going to learn to use these tools to save themselves time. So I had like 50 videos in my collection. There. Whoa! Speaking of 800 books in Renaissance, I just found 791 when I searched the term woman or women. Okay, I'm simply learning to limit my searches. Well, let's go to circulation. Let's change tab. Let's use another wild card. Let's put in a B and an asterisk.
It's kind of like what happened here.
And then go find a paper. Okay. So I found 7 hits just by putting in a B with an asterisk. Now, the first three are obvious. Look at them. They have a B in their name. But my friend Donald Duck, he doesn't have a B in his name. Why is he here?
My catalog is a mess.
Because it's how we're
They
teaching
started giving things out left and right, throwing things away left
Okay,
and right. And I'm
so we
like,
use both of those
this
wild
just
cards
makes a lot of work.
on
I mean, I
page
don't care.
18.
I like to manage what's here.
Oh, on
But
page 19, when you're doing a search,
I know I hate my
either within Destiny
Um,
Discover or within Class, or if you misspell
No.
word, Destiny will try to help you out. And it's pretty successful.
There you go. And I know we have my teacher here. That's
And
what
so
it is.
these screens that are being, or,
Yeah,
the screens that are
really
being
funny.
displayed in your book, things you've already talked
Well,
about. Let's go get
I
some
like to
help.
manage what I can see because when
Now
I
we're on
can't see it, they're going to take it
23.
anyway, and I understand that.
There's tons
But
of help built into Destiny.
I know that this is going to
So
take me
you get
hours to
stuck.
to delete
Yeah.
every one of these
Let's go
titles.
back
So I
to
guess I'll
catalog
just
for
do
a
a
minute.
few at a time until they're all gone.
I mean, catalog tab, library search, basic sub-tab. Notice above my sub-tabs, it says how do I ... There's a question mark. That's called on-page help. And it's always linked to the tab, the option, and the sub-tab you're using. So let's click how do I.
Well, that'd be fantastic. Raylan Gay
The
has come over
Destiny is
and
going
worked
to
for me a
give
little
me
bit.
a step-by-step guide on how I would search the catalog. Okay. Let's change tabs. Let's go to
Yeah, I
search,
do.
and we'll check out.
I have so much in here that I need to manage that it's so hard for me to try to manage professional books that people just keep taking. And
It
when
assumes
they
I
got rid
need
of the
help
book
checking out
room,
materials.
we put all
And that's
that
what I get.
stuff in here because they don't have notes to put it, and that drives
A
me crazy
step-by-step
because
guide.
it's not mine.
on
It's
how
called
you
literacy
check this stuff out.
footprints. It's bad
So,
books, and then the stuff
this
on the top
particular
because
one,
they just couldn't figure out who to give it to. That's the one I just keep trying to get rid of. I'm like ready to like go take them to Goodwill or that place in Hickory.
I print off and I tape it right to my cert count.
I mean, like, because I'm just,
See, I use
nobody's going to take
them.
them.
They
Teachers
are
don't want
good
them.
help. So they, for the most part, know what they're
Okay,
doing.
I'm still in the 900s.
But once in a while, they get mixed up.
A lot of
Poor Richard
900s.
is a sophomore boy. And he's good.
Oh my
He's
God, I forgot
wonderful
about
help.
biographies I got to go through.
And he's dependable. He's always there. Unfortunately, if 3 or 4 cute sophomore girls line up to check out books, poor Richard seems to forget everything he ever knew about anything. And so he can look back on the sheet. What am I doing? Well, that's right. I'm checking out
Okay,
books.
like my classroom
Okay.
sets,
So,
they're all
we've
gone into
used
teachers'
our
classrooms. No idea where they are.
on-page help.
And I
Now,
hate to
there's
get
another
rid of
help
them out
system.
of my
Up
inventory
next to the word log
because I
out,
know they're here somewhere. Some of them got thrown away. So what do?
okay.
I
And
guess
it's
what
just
I
a
could do
bunch
is
of
if
links
anybody,
to
like Brittany needed
different places.
holes. She needed
We've
6
got the
copies of
Follett
holes.
community.
So I sent
At
out an
your
email and said,
convenience,
does anybody
don't
have 6
forget to
copies of
come back
holes?
to the Follett
Because
community. There's
I guess I
tons
could
of
just
help
always do
out
that
there.
and just take everything out. Oh my God,
Follett
there are so
community is
many.
pretty much school librarians talking back and forth with each other about how they solve problems, how they do this, how they do that. Or they may have a question. I can't figure out how to do this. Anybody help me? And so it's a wonderful source of help. Notice there's a table of contents over on the left, so you can go to library manager and look up what you want. There's actually a subsection called Back to School. What are we going to do the first week of school? Get tested ready for the new school year, stuff like that.
Right.
Featured products, yeah. We want to know more about Destiny Discover. I very briefly talked about that with you. What about this thing called collections? Well, they're just lists, really.
Right.
Now, if we go to the bottom of the page,
Me, y'all
notice
have.
there is a contact us. There's a tech support note. If you get stuck,
Did you say
I don't know
100?
how it's set
You
up
have
within
100
your
like
district.
NAI?
In some districts, you would call Ashley. Then Ashley, if Ashley's up, she calls technical
Well,
support.
not about calling
In
me
other
because I ain't got no
districts,
idea about
they
all
want you to
this.
call technical support, so I'm not sure how it works in your
It was
district.
an act of
But there
Congress
is
to
an
get this
800 number
scheduled.
on your screen.
Actually, we have a lot of newer librarians that
888-511-4.
had zero.
When you call that number, you're going
help.
to get a menu. Go to
So
option
hopefully
2,
it's
that's
helping some of
technical
those.
support for Destiny. If you want
Right.
customer service, if you order a bunch of books from Follett,
Right.
wonder where your books are.
152.
Well, you can call customer service and they'll track them down for you. It's the same.
And we
phone
pay a
number
big,
that you use.
huge amount to have customer
Okay.
service. So
And
I
on
do
the
not
left corner
hesitate
of my
at all
screen, yeah,
to
you
call
go to
them.
the company website. You go up to that thing called Follett
Yes,
Community.
we do. Yeah,
Ask Miss
huge.
Mark. You know what that's going to be about. Those of you who are new to librarianship can go to Ask Miss Mark, and it will tell you everything you ever wanted to know about the mark tags and how you use them and how you punctuate them and so on. You can
ECU.
even ask questions from the cataloging staff
Okay, what
at
is
Destiny
this?
by going to Ask Miss Mark. They will answer your questions. However, they do expect higher level questions. You know, not how do I log into this or how do I catalog and do it. Well,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
stuck. I'm an experienced cataloger. I kind of know how to do it.
Oh,
But I'm
wow.
stuck. How do I enter this?
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'll tell you. Okay. And enhancement requests. Over the
Yes,
years,
that's
school
a lot.
librarians have been very good about making suggestions to Destiny on how they can improve their product.
I can tell you
If
a
you've
way,
been in patron records,
and that is when you are adding a title, if you misspell something by one letter, it will not come
now
up.
that was not in the early
That's
versions
annoying.
of Destiny.
I hate
But
like
almost
today. I don't have
immediately
my glasses
upon
on,
Destiny's
but I did.
release, they
The
started
word
getting
was
all these questions from
it
school
was family
librarians
game
who
night.
said,
Blah blah
hey,
blah. I put
why
gamely
can't we
game night,
search
blah, and
by
it would
name?
not come up with anything.
Almost every school in the country has a kid or a teacher.
Yes, like everything else in the world.
We need to be able to search it. Well, now you can.
You need to
That
think
thing
like a
was called
child,
an
and
enhancement
people without your
request.
glasses.
And so there's a whole lot of help within Destiny if you need it.
I think so.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna leave here.
You need to be able to spell like a kid can
And
spell.
let's go back to classic. So the following pages, 23, show you how to get help.
He told me
There
that
is
this
actually
would
a
not be
help center
recorded.
within Destiny
In fact, I think the
Discovery.
exact
And
words
that's what
were,
we
this
call
is from
color
me used to my
graph.
defense if
So
anything
there's
was to
help
be
in
said.
there as well as in
We are not
classic.
recording this.
There are
But I
training
am
resources. There are videos.
this
There
because
are
he didn't say that I
tutorials to
couldn't
teach you a
record
lot
this.
about Destiny. Go to the Follett community. There's a link in your book that will take you where you want to go.
So I have a Donors Choose project going on right now
So,
because there's a big match today
now
for
on page
literacy, like for
27,
books.
yes,
And
we
usually
know
I
how
get
to
an
log
email when
in.
somebody
And
donates.
we
I
know
got one
how to
already this
navigate
morning.
using
Well,
those
now I've had
apps.
another donation, but it
Apps.
won't tell
And
me.
yes,
I haven't gotten an
Destiny
email like who
Discover.
it's from or
We did
anything.
a search for
It just says two
earthquakes.
donors.
And so
They do, but
describe the resource available in Destiny, just everything in your collection is
oh well, now it
in
just
there.
popped up.
And how will you get help?
Whose
How do you
child is
access
she?
training resources?
I have to look her up.
Okay. Questions? If not, let's go on to circulating library materials efficiently. Go to circulation. Now, we can take this a little backwards. We're going to learn how to circulate materials, and we're going to set up the current checkouts or overdues report. Okay. It wants us to check out first, but I used this database yesterday. I can't remember what's out, what's in. So I'm going to check in first. All I have to do is scan the barcode. And it creates a list. Those streets that are checked in. It's the cavalry book. Look at the note in the middle of the screen. Page 39 is missing. Yeah. I put that note in there as a reminder to myself and to the kids. See, I got tired of kids coming up and saying, Mr. Olson, page 39 is missing, and I didn't do it.
When it was just Eastville, yes.
Okay, so I put a little reminder.
Now it's
Just check out another
EGMS.
book. Just scan another book. Now
So
we got
why, I know,
orange,
why
another
can't we do
butterfly
that?
is checked in.
Because, I don't know.
Another one's checked in. So as it checks books in, it's telling you who had it checked out, when was it due, the barcode of the patron, how many copies do they still have out? How many library books do they still have out? You see the bottom of the cavalry book, Tony still has 2 items out, whereas
That's
the
so
last
weird.
three checked in, the Vietnam War.
No,
Richard
not at
has
all.
no items checked out.
Oh my gosh, now I forgot about magazines, and I haven't had magazines circulating since 2006, 2007. I gotta take all those out now.
Oh, now this is interesting.
I'm
See,
getting
the
ready.
first 4
I'm
items
getting ready
that
to
I
make
checked in,
waves,
I
I
can
think.
check out.
Oh yeah, well, that's interesting.
So it shows when they were doing.
I'm getting ready to make waves because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get rid of my North Carolina section because it hasn't been touched. It's so
Because
dusty.
remember,
They're probably going to be mad though because I can put certain
it
things out
wasn't
in the hall
checked
and people
out.
have a conniption,
Did it
like
hurt anything when they check
dictionaries,
it in?
stuff like that. I'm like,
No, not at
come
all.
on,
In
people.
fact, this is
How
a
many times have you been in
wonderful
here and got a
collection
dictionary?
tool. You see,
I'm out of room
some
in my
of
fiction
most
section. The
heavily
books are
used books
like
never
laying
leave
down. I'm
the
out of
library.
room. We're going to have
Those
to
of you
just
who are at the senior
let
high
me make the
understand
best decisions
you
around here.
cannot check out all the genetics books to first period biology
3:39.
because you've still got periods 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 coming into the library, and you don't have any resources. You check them all out the first period, so we don't check them out. We put them on reserve, and the kids can use them in the library, but they can't check them out. Now, as a librarian, I'm kind of curious. What's the circulation record on those books? Which ones are never used?
My books are so
Maybe I
old.
ought to leave them out. Put something on the shelf kids will actually use. Which ones are heavily used? Maybe I need duplicate copies. Okay. By checking in a book that's not checked out, you begin to build a circulation record that gives you that kind of information. So I work with the teacher, and we're going to bring the kids in.
Yeah.
And we say, okay, we pre-selected what you're going to use. When you come into the library,
Yeah.
the books you are to use are on a book truck over in the tables. section on the library. Just go to the book truck, find a book that grabs your interest, and sit down and start reading and taking notes. The bell will ring when
Yeah,
you're
but then some of it you like.
When the bell rings, leave the book on the table. Just get up and exit the library.
Oh,
We'll take care
Same
of it.
thing. Yes.
Okay, bell rings, kids leave. So my third period help was
Okay, now, okay, this lady, this parent from here has donated to the Donors Choose, but her child's name is not the same as her last name, so now I'm stalking her Facebook page to figure out whose kid is hers. Oh, found it. Caden.
So that's all there is to check in. We just keep scanning barcodes. Okay? Now let's go check out. Now wait a minute.
All of my Kindles are broken. Like the screens won't, I mean, they won't even come on. I've even tried to like charge and charge and charge. They're just.
Destiny has a feature called sticky. It remembers the
Mine are
last
the
thing
very,
you
I think
did.
mine were like the first Kindle ever made.
That's what you're going to do next. The last book
I wish
that
I could do
checked in
something with them.
that
I wish
actually been
Amazon would
checked
like
out was
take them back and
was
give me
checked
a
out
few
through
bucks for
Richard.
them because.
The sticky function comes into play. When I go to check out
Mhm.
materials, Destiny thinks, well, the last paper you used was Richard, so that you're probably going to use Richard again. That's not true. Notice on my options way down at the bottom.
Oh, well, I've got 3 of those, and then I have like 15.
This is what I want.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
So let's
I gotta order a new one.
Richard Parker.
I have 11 new Kindle Fires that.
Tony's student. Okay, so now we've got Tony.
Something me throwing them in the trash can.
Notice there's a note in the middle of the screen about him. He can't read Harry Potter. Okay. So I put a note in there as a reminder to myself. Let's check out Harry Potter. Okay, so we see some demographic stuff about him.
You know what? I've been doing
He's got one
Screencastify,
item checked
and I know
out.
it's
He
picked up
doesn't
my
have any
voice
holds,
the entire
auto
time.
down. He has a fine.
Sorry, Sydney.
He's in grade 10. There's his
That's who I
homeroom
was
teacher
doing
plus
this for.
his reading teacher.
Sorry, Sydney. I'm so
And
sorry.
then down at the bottom of the screen, in the items out sub window, it shows that he has this all-night party checked out. Okay. It is not overdue, but notice while it's in the items out window.
He says he's not allowed to read Harry Potter?
Oh.
I'm not allowed to read Harry Potter.
He came in and said, I lost it. I don't know where it is. I know I checked it out. I looked every place I can think of. I'm willing to pay for it. I lost it. Okay, we're gonna mark it lost. Because when we do that, Destiny is gonna put a reminder in the catalog. It's search for this title, they're gonna get a reminder. We think it's lost. So you can go to the shelf and look for it, you're probably not gonna find it, because we think it's lost. Okay. Now, if you had several things that you wanted to renew, you could renew all of them with one click of the mouse. Okay, so we've got our patron, but notice the cursor is still blinking now. It's expecting a book. Okay, check out a book. Oh, look at this. Getting an error message. See, you can put books in quarantine because of the virus. You can put the books on the shelf for 2 weeks, not let them go anywhere.
The virus.
Hopefully that will help. But yeah, with your health endeavor. And so it says, oh, this book is in quarantine. Now you notice, do you want to complete the transaction, yes or no? So I can override it. I'm going to answer yes. And then notice now it's checked out. I'm going to check out some more books, but we'll keep seeing that quarantine message. You can turn it on or off. I'm going to leave it off. Okay, so there's a book checked out. Let's check out another book. Just scan the next barcode. And so now we've got that all-night party that we were talking about
So
earlier.
it looks like you can edit
You
this.
want to complete this transaction, yes or no? Answer yes. Now it's checked out.
EGMS.
Let's change patrons. We'll get Richard up here. There's a note on the screen about Richard. He's a National Honor Check out a book, Richard. We get the quarantine message, but I'm gonna override it and check it out. Let's check out another one. Okay, so you see what's happening. Now, there's a reason it's going into the checked out window. It's only within the checked out window that you can change due date if you need to do that. And from time to time, you do need to set a special due date for one reason or another. So let's set a special due date for this Vietnam book. I'm going to go way over to the right of the sub window. I'm going to click on change date. And I'm presented with a calendar. Notice the radio button's on the left. We've got a default date of the 14th. Or when I click on the 18th, I'll give it a couple more weeks. When I click on the 18th, the radio button will change to the selected date. Okay, to make this work, you're going to save it. But before you save it, you've got to tell Destiny, why are you doing this? How long does this special due date remain in effect? Or to whom does it apply? Or to what does it apply? Well, you got three choices. Until log out, this patron only, or this item only. Now, until log out was a wonderful tool for me at my senior high. I had to store classroom sets of novels in the library. They were handled like textbooks, not library books. They went out for a whole semester at a time. But historically, I had room to store them. That's how they ended up in the library. But I was expected to check them out on a long-term basis to students. So this was a great tool for me. So all the sophomores have to read White Bank. So we close library circulation to everybody but the sophomores. First sophomore comes through, we check out one copy of White Bank for that first student. And while it's still in the checked out window, we set a special due date. End of the first semester, like December 20th or something like that. And then select until logout, and then I save it. Now from that point forward, every book that goes out for a semester at a time. That's why we're only dealing with those sophomore classes this year. Okay, it takes us all morning, but we finish about noon. I want everything within Destiny to revert back to normal. All I have to do is log out, log back in, Destiny's back to a true circulation. Okay. Now, I could set a special due date for this patron only. Tony's come to me, or Richard's come to me and says he has to have orthopedic surgery and it has to happen right now. They can't wait for a school holiday. He's a very bright child, maintains very high grade. His theory is he will write his research report as he recuperates at home and in the hospital. I said, okay, Tony. So Richard, go gather up whatever it is you need, bring it up. We're going to check it out to you, but we're going to set a special due date. We'll set it for 6 weeks. If we need longer time, we can redo it. Okay, so now I've set a special due date for this patron only. I can also limit it to this item of like one piece. Then the kids can read that 2 weeks. So if they check that out, they get it for 2 weeks at a time. Okay. So now to make the whole thing work, you have to save it. I'm not going to save it. I just wanted you to see the possibilities and know how to change, set a special due date if you need to. I'm going to cancel it. Okay. So we checked out and we checked in. The following pages are things that we've done. Oh, you can actually check out to, how are your patron records getting in here? Can somebody answer me, please? Are they coming in from the student management system?
Yes. Power screen, which I can't talk about. Yes.
Yeah. How do your patron records get into Destiny? Are you importing them through a student management system?
Yes, the district imports them for us. through Power School.
Cool. And does that include the home, do you use homerooms?
That has been a little bit of a bear. Actually, you may explain that better. To me, it seems to be appearing under user
to update it to homerooms, and then it will reset each night. Now, I haven't looked at it in about a month and a half. Ashley, do you have any, or any of the others, have you run into the same thing?
I had to go in and I did the manage patrons and changed all of my everybody that had username 1. I put in a certain homeroom, and so far, and mine have not been changed back.
Okay. If I may, I'm gonna bring this patron record up on the screen over by his picture. It says edit. Okay, so it might be helpful for the Power School people to see this. See, sometimes they don't export because they don't know you use it. Some of your reports are controlled by what's on this screen. For instance, I did an on-site training once in Florida, and they said, look at the homeroom's obviously wrong. There's something wrong with Destiny because we only have 2 homerooms listed, M and F. How can that be? I said, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with Destiny. I think your student management system is exporting the gender field, M or F, out to the homeroom field. That's why you're seeing what you're seeing. And yes, that was the case, and they got it straightened out. So you can show them this. It might be helpful, and it's helpful to have a discussion with on. Sometimes they don't know that you actually need that field. They don't see what use it would be in a library, so they don't export it. So anyway, let them see this. You'll notice on mine, on my screen, this boy is in a homeroom, Jones. But it also lists a reading teacher, Cabela. That's because we did use homerooms in my high school, but the data was inaccurate. It said that Richard was in a certain homeroom and he wasn't there at all. He was in the library working for me during homeroom period. By state law, every kid had to have reading. So if I started sending the overdue notices to the reading teacher, not the homeroom teacher, I caught up with everybody. And so you'll have to experiment with these a little bit till you get them the way you want them, then it'll be automatic. But it helps, I think, for your student management people to see this screen and for you to let them know, yeah, we use this one, but not that one, and so on. Okay, I'm going to cancel it. I just wanted you to see it. So I've already put some homerooms in here. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to check stuff out to these kids. There's a sub-tab called homeroom. So let's go there. Okay, so first I have to select the homeroom. Jones is the only homeroom I'm interested in. Okay, and then when I click on select patron, there are only 4 kids in this homeroom and one of them has a fake name. I'm going to click on Crystal.
Name, fake name.
And then I'm going to check out a book to her. And yes, it's quarantined. And I'll check out another book to her. Okay, very well. Now, I have to go back to select patron. And then I have to select another one of these kids. I think this is kind of cumbersome myself. Do you know how to print barcode labels for your kids?
Yes.
Everybody comfortable with that? Oh, I see some shaking their head no, some shaking their head yes. Let's go print out some barcode. I'm going to show you an easier way, what I think is an easier way to do this by homeroom. Let's go to reports. And then I'm going to go to patron report. I want to print out barcode labels for the kids in the homerooms. So I'm going to go down to labels and cards and barcode label. Okay. How am I going to select? Oh, by the way, look at my subtabs. I can print out used barcode labels. Those have been assigned to somebody. But I can also print unused. They're available but haven't been assigned. I'll show you a use for that when we get to cataloging. Okay, so I'm going to select by homeroom. And Destiny is going to respond back, oh, any homeroom to any homeroom. Well, if you're going to do this the 1st of September for every homeroom in the school, then you want any homeroom. That's not what I want now. I only want Jones. Okay, so we're going to go Jones to Jones, and then we're going to sort it alphabetically by student name. Okay, limit the patrons. I don't want restricted. I don't want inactive. Include the following. Barcode number is on by default. Leave it on. If you turn it off, you're just going to get a zebra stripe that you can't read. The scanner can, but you can't. So if you leave it on, you're going to get an eye-readable version of that same number. Okay, now, you could use label stock if you wanted to, but I don't want to. I just want to print on plain paper. So I'm going to go down to use at CircDesk. Start a new page for each group. If I were doing multiple homerooms, I'd start a new page for each group. And I'm going to include the library commands at the bottom of the page. And then I'm going to run my report. And look at my breadcrumbs. I'm now out in Report Manager. I'm in a print queue. Click on Refresh List to speed things up. Now I have a view link. Now remember, there were only 4 kids in this homeroom. If there were 30, they'd all be on here. Okay, so let's go to the bottom of the page. See, I can move from check-in to check-out by simply scanning a barcode. I think that's a big time saver. So here's the way it works in my library. The 3rd graders come in and they stack their books on the circulation counter to be checked in. The kids themselves go over to the story well. We're going to have story time. Okay, kids are over there. I'm with them. My 3rd grade helper is running the CircDesk. And so she knows that she should be in check-in mode, and she's going to check in all those books that are stacked on the counter. Okay, that'll work. So she finishes checking in books about the time I finish story time. It's now time for the kids to select their books and check out. And so my 3rd grade helper at the CircDesk goes to the bottom of the page and she's going to scan check out. That's going to put her in checkout mode. Okay, so the kids are lined up. So at this point, she can scan Tony's barcode, then Tony's book. Richard's barcode, Richard's book, and so on. So I would much rather do this than all this clicking back and forth on these hyperlinks. I don't like to do that. That seems pretty cumbersome to me. Okay, so we checked out, we checked in. That's all there is to it. Very easy. There are a couple of functions within circulation that you will do. The following pages in your book, yeah, we checked out by homeroom. We did it 2 ways. We could use the hyperlinks, or we could just print off the barcodes and keep them at the CircDesk in a loose leaf binder. And we checked in. Let's go to the one called patron status. You'll find yourself using this quite often. Again, it has a record on the screen because of that sticky function. If I want a clean screen, I simply go down to reset, click it, and now I've got a clean screen. Okay, so I want to check on Tony. Okay, there's that note about it. He can't read Harry Potter. It's got some demographic stuff on the screen about him, including print label. So he came in this morning and said, Mr. Olson, I lost my wallet and my library barcode was in it. Can I have another one? Sure. Just click on print label and it will print out a barcode label for Tony. Okay, he's got a few items out, 3 to be exact. Down below that, and on the right-hand side, for each of those items checked out, notice you can mark it renew or loss. Now, what's this? And be careful with it. I'm going to go to view history right under his picture. This is a record of everything that Tony's ever checked out of this library from the time he enrolled in this school. The reason I say be careful with it, there's a privacy issue at work here, especially at the senior high level. See, those kids are 17, 18, 19 years old. Depending on which state you're in, those records belong to those kids. And so I've actually had letters from parents that said, my kids' reading habits are nobody's business. So unless somebody shows up with a court order, you had better not be displaying their reading history. Right, understood. Now, at the Destiny admin, now notice this thing, it could be several pages long. If the kid is a reader, it'll be several pages long. Notice it says printable up in the right corner. For heaven's sakes, don't print that off and take it down to Starbucks and leave it on a table. Somebody will be upset with you. Now, you won't have those problems, I think, at the elementary level. See, we kept reading logs on kids like forever. It showed how they were improving in reading. They're reading more difficult books. They're reading longer books. We didn't think anything of it at the time, but now security and privacy have become much bigger issues, so just be aware. In fact, some districts choose to turn history off at the Destiny admin level. They don't want to deal with the privacy issue. That's okay. Do what you want. Okay, now, down below, the items out, he has some fines. Now, for heaven's sakes, if any of you know his parents, don't tell him how I beat up on this poor kid during training. That's where all these fines come from. He's really a swell kid. He's very bright, hard worker, works in the library for me, so he's a great kid. And so the only reason he has all these fines is because as I'm doing training from time to time, people will say, well, how can I create a fine? And I say, here's how you do it. Let's fine Richard. Okay. Going on down the screen, notice way down at the bottom, that's where that note comes from about he can't read Harry Potter. So if you want to put in a note about a student or a teacher, you'd click on add note. I already have a note in there. I'm going to bring it up in edit mode. You can see what it does. It displays anytime we bring that record up. And the note itself just says Tony's not allowed to read Harry Potter. Okay. If you put anything in there, don't forget to save. Okay. So now we've used patron status. You can find the same kind of information about a book. Let's go to copy status. And let's find the copy. There it is. Page 39 is missing. I told you how that got in there. Here's some bibliographic stuff and about the book. Notice over on the right-hand side, print labels. That will allow you to print a barcode label for the book. It'll also allow you to print a spine label for the book. There are actually two reports because you use different stock. The spine label is not near as big as the barcode label. And so that's why it says labels. And you can choose to print only the barcode label or only the spine label or both. Okay, so I can print a label, a barcode label for this book, which I do. See, as I'm checking the books in, I realize that this barcode label has been badly damaged. Well, I don't want those fifth graders even thinking about messing with barcodes. You are all experienced library people, and you know the barcode labels themselves are practically indestructible. But I found out a long time ago. You can figure out a way to get that barcode label off. So that's why the minute I see it damaged, I replace it. That's easily done. Go to copy status, print the label. Okay. Now, if you are worried, if you turn history off, you know who had the book. If you see some damage, you have to look for that out. Well, this screen, you notice current checkout and previous checkout. You always have those two pieces of information, whether you turn history on or off. Okay, and then finally at the bottom of the screen, you see where you put your note, and there are circulation statistics for this particular book. Okay. Questions? We use paper status, we use copy status. Oh. Let's go do it. Current checkout fine report. That's on page 39. Let's go to reports. Mrs. Jones came through this morning. Today's library gave her. She says, can you print out a list of the books my kids are supposed to have checked out? I'll go over the list with you before we get to the record. That's good. That helps me. So we're in paper reports, and we're going to go to current checkout fine. Now, there are already some reports in here on my screen. As you develop reports, this list will get longer and longer and longer. And you do need to clean it up from time to time. And so I don't need Marion anymore down at the bottom of my list. So I can click the trash can, and I get a warning, and I say yes, and now it's gone. I'll do the same with the Marion note. So you need to come in here and clean it up. Notice you can add these reports to a favorites list. They'll go on the right, plus heart. Okay. But I want you to create a new report. It's a 3-step process. You have to format it. You have to put some limits on it. Then you have to put some detail. So let's go down to the bottom of the screen and create a new report. We want checked out and overdue. Yeah. Now notice the next 3 radio buttons. Those have to do with something that's due on a certain date or it's overdue. That's not what I want. See, those aren't overdue. They're just checked out. So I can use all that are checked out. Now, you have to experiment with these reports and you get them the way you want them, and then they're pretty much automatic. So you'll notice I can put a whole lot of stuff on this report. I'm not going to do it. I don't want resources assigned to a custodian. Unpaid library, don't want them. Don't click them off. Okay. Then, at the bottom of the screen, we have to format this. Our report comes out on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Notice that PDF is a pull-down. You can push this out to Excel if you want to. No, I'm going to leave it PDF. Notice another choice is to email to the homeowner, or you can bring it out as a notice. Let's do a report, and then I'll come back and show you how to change it to a notice. They're a little bit different. Okay, so let's go to step 2.
So hit continue, and we get over here, and I want only active students. I don't care about textbooks, I don't care about resources, I don't care about materials that my patrons have it wrong, anybody else. And so step 3, put the detail in this thing. Okay, we know it's for Mrs. Jones, so we're going to go to homeroom, and Destiny's going to try to use every homeroom. That's not what we want. We only want Jones' homeroom. Go for Jones' home. Okay. Should we put the title of the book or the video? Yeah. Should we put the price? Yeah. What about the barcode of the student? You experiment with these till you get them the way you want them. I wouldn't put the phone number anymore. In the old days, we didn't think anything of it. This privacy issue keeps cropping up, so I'm going to put the phone number on there. Now I'm going to save the setup, so I don't have to keep doing this. Give it a name you can remember. I'll call this Marion, but I could just as well call it Jones, because it's really for Mrs. Jones. Okay, notice also, you don't have to be in the library to run a report. You can schedule this to run on its own at 2 a.m. That's a good time to run reports. The server is sitting there humming away, but it's not really doing very much. So you can schedule it. Mrs. Jones comes in. I'm going to run it weekly on Wednesday. Well, I guess today's Thursday. We'll go weekly Thursday at 2 a.m. I'm not going to take time to do that, but I am going to save it and run it. Okay, again, the breadcrumbs, I'm in report manager at this point. And I'm in a print queue. Click refresh list at the top or F5 to speed things up. And it's now completed. There's a view link. Let's take a look at it. What have we got here? Cool. Homeroom Jones. Tony has 3 books out. Richard has 2. Crystal has 2. So I'm going to print this off. Put it in Mrs. Jones' mailbox. And she'll go over this with kids. Okay, that's pretty easy. Now let's back up. Let's change our report to a notice because they're a little bit different. So on the first page, so way at the bottom, click notice. Actually, I'm going to change screens. I want to edit what they're going to add.
District.
Now we're going to change notice. So let's change anything on this page.
I got entered. Did you catch the part where he
Now this
quickly
page is a
showed the
little
check
bit
in
different.
check
See,
out
how will we
barcodes?
distribute this thing? Internally means we print it off and put it in this Jones mail. Notice it can be mailed. That means it's going home to the parent. Or we can do it by email. If you do it by email, I want to display American Jones School District on my email. You can put a return address in case they want to ask you a question about this. Even that, even as a test case, to see if you have a viable email address. Okay. And then, when we were looking at patron records, there was room for 5 email addresses. Which one are we going to use? Then, page layout. There's 1 per page. Just for fun, I'm going to say print 4 per page. You know we're only 3 pages. Then, the notice is going to say, Dear Richard Betts. The following items are overdue. We're simply checked out. We'll change that. Okay, this permission. Now, if you're going to send it home to the parent notice, you can actually create an address label for the guardian or parent off Richard Betts. Okay. And finally, I'm going to save the setup and I'm going to give it a different name. Let's call this a notice so we know it's different. Again, we could schedule it to run on its own, It won't. So let's run it. Okay, so here we have it. Now, let's say by putting multiple notices on the same page, we created our own problem. How are we going to separate? See, it's meant that one will go to Tony and one will go to Richard and one will go to Chris. So you either have to come apart, or you have to have specialized stock in your printer, or you can simply do one notice per page. Okay, so now we did a current checkout fines report as described on page 39. The following pages are stuff we've already done. We put some limits on it on page 41. And we put some detail in it on page 42. And then we ran it. And then we went back, changed it into a notice, which was a little bit different. Yes, we saved it and ran it. And that takes care of that. Okay, so we know how to check out. Now on page 38. Yeah, we know how to check out. We know how to check in. We take a look at paper status, copy status, and yes, we generate the checked out report. Okay, let's go to page 49. Let's go configure library manager for your school. So we're going to create and edit cert types. We're going to set up the calendar. We're going to look at our site configuration options. We'll forge ahead. There are templates. You are up and running. So you have these cert types and paper types already figured out. So I'm going to show you how to edit them if you need to, and you can add new ones as circumstances change and you want to add new ones, like when you start putting a lot of ebooks. Let me show you how to do that. But as far as running, yeah, you're running right now. So there's a blank template. Who are your patron groups?
He just peed on my foot.
P, K, and 1. Intermediate grades, 4.6. It varies from district to district, so you can think about who are your patron groups. And then you'll see there's a template that's been completed on page 50. And so we have a circulation.
It's only me.
We have one for overnight, and we have one for audio visual.
So usually he goes right in his box.
So that's already filled in for you.
Sorry, he
And then
said
there's a
me.
blank one under it, so you can roll this over. So let's set up our cert type. Let's go down to library policy. We're under admin. We're going to go to library policy. And we're going to go to the subtab called cert types. You can have as many of these as you want. The rule of thumb is the fewer the better.
District
You can
options.
get so many of them it confuses even you, the librarian. So I only have 4. I've got ebooks. I've got overnight. I've got regular. And then I've got one that's called restricted.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to build a new one. I'll go to one called regular and bring it up in edit mode and show you the template.
District.
Okay, so it's regular, it's the default. So the loan period is 14 days. Remember in the senior high, materials pretty much just circulate for 14 days. Okay, it's a grace period. Well, if you don't charge fines, you don't need a grace period. In some schools, they say, okay, the book is overdue today, Thursday. But the fine doesn't start till Monday. Oh, that's a 2-day grace period. So the book's overdue, but you're not being fined. All right. What about renewal? If you have an item that cannot be renewed, put a 0 in there. You see that quite often in public libraries on the new bookshelf. You check them out. You can't renew them. Okay. What about a fine increment? By default, Destiny is going to try to charge 5 cents a day to a high. Your district surely has a fine policy. So you should bring this template into compliance with your district policy. Now, while we're talking about site configuration, please be advised that your Destiny admin, Ashley, and I don't know who the second one is, but she told me there were two of them. Some of these things they can set for the district and just push them down to you. You can also edit them for your individual school. You know, maybe you have a day off or an in-service or something that nobody else has. And so you can edit them yourself. Anyway, some of these can be pushed down from the Destiny admin level to your school. Okay, so you can bring your fine increment and your maximum fine into compliance with your district policy. Overdue to loss. How long can a book be overdue before you finally give up and say, yep, it's lost? I use 90 days. That's a long time, 3 months. Now, Destiny can automatically mark a loss at the end of 90 days, but you have to tell it, see the square box before overdue? You have to click that to make it work. Okay, now it's the right time to save. I look at the bottom of my screen. It looks like you can edit those paper types on this screen. Good idea. It doesn't save properly. It'll save the circulation type, but it doesn't always save the paper type for some reason. And nobody's ever been able to explain to me why that happens. So, when you finish with cert type, save it. I'm not going to save it, I didn't change it. Okay. So those are my cert types. Now notice in the upper right corner where you can add patron types, you can also add the ebook policy. I don't know the extent of your ebook collection at this point. Probably off the future, probably the easiest way to handle that is called tech support. Once you start adding ebooks, they'll help you set them up. Okay, so now let's take a look at our patron types. I only have 3. I've got faculty members, K1, and students. Okay. Now, why would I have a K1? I'm a senior high school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we did that in the training. In fact, I can get rid of it, show you how to recreate it. So I go to K1, click the trash can, get a warning, say yes, it's gone. Let's put it back in. I'm going to add a patron type. Let's use the same name, K1. Maximum checkouts, no, they don't get 10. K1 kids only get 1 book, so I'm going to edit that. It's a fixed date.
Kindergarten first can
It's
check
when
out
a whole
1,
bunch of
and
stuff
then 2
comes
through
due,
5 can
the
check out
school year
2. 5th grade can
continues
check out
on.
3 if they're doing a project.
Remember my example of what's the name? They all came due at the end of the semester. That's a fixed date. So if you have that circumstance, you can put in a fixed date. The seating date is the end of your school year. So if your last day of school is June 1, you may want to May 25 as your seating date. Okay. Maximum holds. How many holds? Oh no, I'm going to zero that out. Kindergarten, K and 1 kids cannot put holds on them. Now, ready hold expires in 7 days. Ready. Only have 1 copy. Kid came in the library, checked it out. A few minutes later, then the kid came in. Put a hold on the same book. Okay. Now remember, the book can go out in my library, can go out for 14 days at a time. So the book goes out, and then it comes back in. When we check it in, we get a notice that it should be held for hold. So we send Tony one of our generic notices called the hold notice. It tells him to come and get his book. Now, if he doesn't show up for a week, I'm going to cancel the whole thing. That's not really that important. Okay, a pending hold expires in 21 days. Remember, a book's not overdue in my library for 14 days. So I added another hold priority. For a teacher, I make that urgent. way, in case of multiple holds, the teacher gets bumped to the top of the list. And in some districts, if a student has a finer note, then they can't check anything else out. If that's the case in your district, then you have to put the square box before the word block. Okay, we're ready to save. Again, down at the bottom, it looks like you can edit those cert types, but don't do it. Just say what you have with your paper type. And that's how Destiny knows when your books are due. We set up patron type on page 54. Put site configuration, 56. Notice there are subtabs here, catalog and serve. So let's do catalog. Okay. Catalog main. When the last copy of a library title is deleted, remove the title from this library's collection. About half of you will click that off. It's very easy to delete a title from your catalog. And so many librarians prefer to do it manually rather than have Destiny automatically take it out. Because chances are the book you lose is the one you're going to replace in 2 weeks because it's your most popular. So they click that flag off. Okay. Library inventory options, we won't have time for that today. Language support. Way about the earliest screen I showed you. Showed that I could change the wording screen to Spanish. French is also available. Want both? Okay. Library display setting. Notice they're numbered, and you can change the numbers of those fields. To show you how that translates. Because you're on butterfly. See how this page is arranged? The number 1 box was Explorer, and then we have publication info, and we have additional info. Maybe you want additional info way up on top. So you simply go to site configuration and change the numbers around. Okay. I can't remember what you told me about AR. Do any schools use AR or none of them? Anybody know?
We don't.
Lexile, well, let's take them in order. Panos and Canal is a subscription service. If you don't have a current subscription, it won't display even if you click it on. Lexile, a lot of teachers across the country use Lexile measure using reader guidance. Reading Counts is actually a competitor of AR. And the last one, support reading level and interest level searches. That publisher recommended. Doesn't have anything to do with reading program. So some teachers like to use that in reader guidance. Okay. Next of them will store search statistics for you. I let it run for 9 months. You can edit that box, make it anything you want. See, unsuccessful searches can be significant. Unsuccessful search means kids didn't find anything. Why? Does it mean we don't have any books about earthquakes? Or they're using the wrong search term? And Destiny doesn't understand the search term. So you can take a look at both successful and unsuccessful searches. By default, show the limiter options in basic search. Back in catalog, we didn't talk much about narrow your search. See, as kids become more sophisticated, we're going to learn to use these. You know, I search only my school by default, but it is a pullback. I can also limit my material type. See, Mr. Smith wants a video about insects. Not a book, not a kid. Video. Okay. Sublocation. Some type of sublocation is called band room. So the library materials, if they're stored over in the band room, at the publication.
That sounds about right for this county.
Break down the benefit like state. So I can search my collection to see which item won the Idaho Young Reader's Choice Award. Reading level and interest level, as your publisher recommended, defining the last one is your reading program that you use. Okay. So, good. We're showing the linear options in basic search. Notice that visual search.
Yes, there is
That's the one
now.
that
She's
has
on
the
here.
icon.
Coley Barrier.
That has two interfaces.
She's new.
Standard or
It's their first year.
same is true of distance study.
She is. Yeah.
We show the top 10. Okay. Don't forget to save if you change anything. It's a good thing we're concerned.
Yes, I agree.
They
She
go
has
allow
been working with
library
the
materials to circulate all pages in the district.
Yes.
They could deal in interlibrary loan. See, because you're a multi-school district, you can loan resources back and forth. So in that case, if you're going to participate in interlibrary loan, you will want to allow library materials to circulate in all patrons in the district. Now, how are you going to
Yeah. She's
handle
been
the
working on
renewal?
it.
If I'm at a distant site, and I want to look for you, or I want to renew the book, can I do that on my own? Or do I have to contact you and then you help me with it? Okay. Calculate loan period either based on calendar or open days. Automatically calculate fines for overdue items. If you don't charge fines, you can click that off. Require an explanation when waiving library fines or issuing library refunds. I click that off. I have a marvelous volunteer staff at my school. I've got volunteers who work 1 day per week. And they run a surf test. They've been with me for years. They have no connection to the school other than the library. And they are very knowledgeable. They have full authority to waive fines and issue refunds. But I do ask that they put an explanation in if they do that. Sometimes they'll waive a fine. I wasn't even in the library. I didn't know anything about it. 2 weeks go by and some issue arises out of that fine. And so, put in an explanation, I don't have to bother the home on a day off trying to figure out about that waive fine. Okay, so we automatically create a fine for lost materials. Remember, when it's in the items out sub-window in circulation, you can mark it loss. Yes, they can automatically create a fine for the price of the book if you want it. Okay. Patrons, they're coming in from the student management system. I don't know about pictures. In some student management systems, the pictures info right along with the data. In others, that's not the case. Okay. Ready reservations 7 open days in advance of the start date. See, Mr. Smith wants all those other plans the first week in May. So the last week in April, I want to get a warning if I try to check one of those books out. Say, this book should be held for Mr. Smith. Complete transaction, yes or no. So I put 7 days in there. You put whatever you want, you don't need to use it at all. Automatically delete a expired hold after 2 weeks. Okay. Barcode symbol, choose your Destiny admin, set those up. I'm going to install Destiny. Our user-defined field, which we mentioned earlier. Notice I changed user-defined to reading feature. I'll explain why I did that. But that's good, sending over new notes. And finally, user-defined too is language in the home. We did that in Albuquerque and offsite training. The library says we need to build the language in the home. The kids are generally bilingual because they're going to school. Many times they're going to school. There's a communication with the parent. That already on perfect language. They can actually read. Okay. provide email addresses,
Mhm.
and if the audio is on your computer, your circulation computer, it's going beep and blank. An audio cue to remind you to look at the screen. Something unusual happens with the sound changes. And so you can actually change the sound. There are royalty free sound libraries out on the web, just like there are royalty free clip-art sound. So you can download sounds that you want to use and change the sound and find something even more obnoxious or less obnoxious. You can change it. Don't forget to say, did you change any of this stuff? I didn't change anything. I'm going to back out of here. And so we looked at site configuration. Following pages of things we've already talked about. We'll set up your calendar and hours, 360. What's on my calendar is simply hyperlinks. If I click on the 29th, now it's a close date. If I click it again, it's probably back open. You just work your way through the months. Now again, these can be pushed down to you by the rest of the end. You don't all have to be doing it. Over in the close dates, lower left. Just check that. Don't forget to say that you change anything. What are our hours? Some elementary school libraries actually function as community rooms, so they're open all night and night. Let's say, let's want to see the whole year. Close the clock until 2021. At this point, the days are not active. Notice if I go to November 17 and click on it, nothing happens. Right, go to November, then the 17th, okay. Okay, you can see 2021, lower right corner as well. So you finish with 2021, move on over to 2022, and that's how you set your clock. On page 62, the circulation policies for ebooks. Teach you how to set those up. There's also a thing called a shared ebook account. Sometimes schools assign a generic password that user would get into the ebook collection. In most districts, the child has a username and password to get in there. But the shared ebook account cuts down a little bit on the obstacles to doing that. So we look at site configuration. Yes, you can add and edit certain types of things. Go ahead and do stuff to your catalog. Okay, there are three ways to add new materials to your catalog. The easiest and most efficient way to do it is simply import the titles. Now you can import from title range. That's one of the advantages of using it. They'll send you the mark records and you simply import them into your system. Okay. You can also import records. If you go to pre-processing, they'll give you the mark records. Pre-processing includes a MyLR jacket, spine rating, barcode rating, and so on. It not cost money. So one librarian will say, well, wait, I can buy more books if I don't pay for pre-processing. Okay. Now, how are you going to get the mark records? See, it's just a file of mark records that you're going to upload into your system. And there are some other ways to get them. Besides pre-processing, the book market itself is quite competitive. I've had books fail, say, listen, if you do the books for me, Gumlaw, I'll get you the mark records. I can't do full pre-processing. That's simply too labor intensive and costly. But I can get you the mark records. Okay, you can get them up. It doesn't matter who you buy your books from. You can give mark records wherever you want. Okay, so let's go import some titles. That's the easiest way to get them in here. Now, Destiny does not want duplicate mark records. In other words, it's hard to keep them out. That's why the screen appears, but I want to import. It wants to go through title matching. The title record is the mark record. And there should only be one mark record for that title. No matter how many copies the book you have, you still only have one mark record. And so it's going to use a match standard. We're importing the record, so Destiny is reading the standard numbers, ISBN, LCCN. It's reading the title, material type, author, and publication. Now, if those match the mark record in your catalog, then Destiny says, whoa, this is a duplicate. And then you have to make a decision. How do you want to handle it? That's what the incoming title matches the existing title. That's what that part. Ordinarily, you simply replace the existing if the incoming is better. That means more of the mark fields are filled. Remember the example I gave you a long time ago about the genetics book? All I put in was author, title, and ISBN. Slap the barcode on it, check out the script. Okay, what's great copy? I want another copy that's coming in with this shipment of books. It's going to have a mark record for it. So Density is going to read the incoming record, which is full and complete mark record. Compares it to my existing catalog, which is, wait a minute, this is a duplicate, but the incoming mark record is much better than the original because all the fields are filled. So it's going to overwrite the old with the new. Or you can tell it to skip it, don't let it in.
Do what? Oh,
You
good.
can tell it to always let it in.
Good.
But you're worrying about it. Okay, that takes care of the mark record. What about the barcode that you attach to the book? That's called the copy record. You certainly don't want duplicate barcode records. They'll drive you crazy. And that's what we're trying to keep them out. So by default, it will not let that barcode in if the barcode's already being used by another copy. Or you can replace the existing with the incoming if the barcodes and the titles match. Let's say I lost the genetics, so I reordered it. But I want the new book to have the same title and barcode that the old book had. So I'm going to replace the old with the new. Or you can always let it in, and then you can assign the next available barcode. Or if you don't know what that is, remember when I told you could print unused barcodes? So you could print off a page of unused barcodes and you know what the next barcode would be. Or you could simply let Destiny assign the next available. Okay. Now we have to choose a file. See, the mark records are in a file, and they got it to you somehow. Where did you put it? It could be on a CD, it could be on a DVD, maybe it was attached to an email. I don't know, somehow they got it to you and you saved it someplace. So they have to browse out and find it. Okay. You can experiment with these to get them the way you want. Now notice the preview at the bottom of the screen. Whenever you're presented with a preview screen, use it. It can save you hours of work in case of a mistake. Get some bad records. Don't preview, just import them. The only good thing that can come out of that is long-term employment that's going to take you the rest of your career to clean up the mess you made in the catalog by not preview. So always preview. Destiny will give you a report. You look at the report, you say, oh, these are good records. Titles work along, authors work along, copyrights in the right place. These are good records. Now I'm ready to import. And so your 60 records are going to import in about 6 seconds, and at that point they're ready for check. Okay, that's all there is to it. Well, what if I can't get the mark record? Now what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to use a different option. I'm going to go add the title. Okay, I'm holding a little book in my hand that was donated to my library. Catalog it in. Before I catalog it in, I'm going to go out and see if some other enterprising librarian across the country hasn't already cataloged this book. And that, if they have, I'll just use their mark record, edit the two I need, attach my barcode, and I'm finished. Okay, so I'm holding the book in my hand. It's been not donated to my library.
He doesn't always go in willingly.
Notice, I want to find the book. There's a full map. You might be cataloging videos, manuscripts, or books that I don't feel. I'm holding it in my hand. Default listing will show the search by type for your location. You have a duplicate type. The best way to do this is by ISD. Okay, so you look in your book, you're looking for, you follow me along in your own system. You're trying to add a book. Then you're looking on the back of the title page, it's called the verso. You're looking for an ISBN, and so am I on this little book I'm holding. Uh-oh, mine doesn't have an ISBN. But mine does have an LCCN. And I'm going to put it in here. And then I'm going to tell Destiny to go out and search if we can find a mark record for this book. So I click go. And this is my lucky day. I got it. If you look on my screen, you'll notice it's found 2 records already. One of them has a little red schoolhouse. That's the preferred record. Little red schoolhouse signifies that somebody in my district has already cataloged this book. So I can use their mark record as my barcode, and that's all there is to it. Now there's a big group A+ record as well. It's a high quality record. There are over 9 million mark records in Alliance Plus. The A+ stands for Alliance Plus, and it is part of Destiny. So you're going to have a very high hit rate. There won't be very many books that you have to custom catalog, because you're going to find a lot of mark records out there. Okay. The reason I want the red schoolhouse is because the librarians in my district agreed to some cataloging protocols that we're all going to follow. We're all going to put the local call number in 906A. We all agree to that. So if I select the red schoolhouse record, I don't have to change anything. The district protocol, but I only think they better fine. So I'm going to hover over the title. Click it. This is my mark record. Now, this is all I know about this book. It was written about this area by a local author. My state district teacher woman. Thinking that somebody had donated to my life. That's all I know. So you'll notice there are action buttons on the right. If I did want to enter it, I could. But all I have to do is go to add copies. See, that's the barcode. So all I have to do is click on add copies. And then it says, well, how many copies do you want? Well, I only have one. What's the number? Well, I printed off. So I use barcode. That's why I know it's 44444. If that's already used, I'll just get one and see if I can change it. Okay, or notice I can simply use the second radio button. Let Destiny assign the next available. And it knows what that is. It always knows the next. Okay, purchase price. I'm going to put a generic in there. Simply because if I mark this for cost, Destiny will automatically create. Fine. What's the amount? Then we can spend hours arguing over the amount. That's why I just use a generic. Okay. Oh, I'm going to the call number. I got to edit that. Call numbers don't have slashes. So, whoever cataloged this in my district understood the historical.
I think it's supposed to.
So something like it off, and be careful where you cut.
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I know that 7 and 2
Yeah,
is
it was like
very
Title 4 or
indication.
something. Let me look.
The two numbers work in concert, so don't cut between them. Cut the
Since it's going to
slash.
be at the Raleigh Convention Center. That's all it seems like.
First 3 letters of the author's last name. It's called the author notation. Put it in there. Destiny will automatically date stamp it for you. Down below, there are other fields that you can use if you want. Like a supplication, that you serve in a band room, for instance. Band rooms, what can I spend you on actually doing that? Funding sources. Memorial donations to school libraries are fairly common. So I have the Smith Family Foundation. It gives me $1,000 a year by science. Okay, now we're ready to save. Notice that's going to be your print label on save, and if you only do the
Yes. It's, well, everybody's was $29 difference because of this. And then since you don't have a MacBook, we the app, the one at the end. Mm-hmm. The calculated, the allotment.
So that's ready for checkout. It was added to 3353, that's ready for checkout.
Because you didn't have a MacBook. We still don't know where that other MacBook is. And I told Garrett, I said, well, I don't want to budget. And the 10 of us who do have MacBooks have to pay for the 11th MacBook when you're missing one. So he said just to go ahead and budget it like this, divide it by 11, and he would find it.
Somebody else's record from the database. Or you can't do any of that. Like all great teachers, I just told you not to do this, but I'm going to put some gibberish in there. I'm going to go look for a title. I'm going to put some gibberish in there. How do you do that? Because I want to trigger an unsuccessful search. The screen will change. I want you to see the screen. Okay, there's no gibberish. Let's go. You're going to find it. See? So if they're looking for it, they can't find it. They're going to find it. So I want you to see right over on the right. So now I've just got a blank template. If you prefer catalog in Mark, you can use the Mark editor. You can just follow the subtext clause and you have a complete record. Fill in anything you can, place, publish, and what you did. It's pretty cool. This book was that I told you was written by Mark Twain. I can't remember if I ever cataloged anything. I put in Twain's name and I put my name. Yeah. See, this is called offer authority control, and you want to be consistent within your catalog. So I'm going to select Mark Twain. It's right where it belongs.
I think this is the last year.
Okay. And as much as you can. Go on over the series. It's part of a series. The annotation is a general note. It's that in there. The subject.
Adam said there wasn't one at the high school.
California. I've never used California as a subject yet. Put it in there. Click on find heading. Destiny will search your subject authority control. Yep. I
I
have
haven't
used
seen anything in my
California.
email.
But that's exactly what this book is about. Gold discoveries in California. And you know Mark Twain was actually in Nevada when he started writing. But he'd go across the border and look for gold. That's what this book is. Okay, resources. See, I can actually link this book to an URL. I don't think there's a Mark Twain Interpretive Center in Angels Camp, California. If there were, and they have their own website, and I could link this book to that website. Okay. And entries, especially at the elementary level. teachers are more interested in the illustrator than the author. And so you want to do a search by illustrator, so you make it what's called a matter of entry. So you put the co-author or the illustrator's name there, now it's searching. Okay. And so now you're ready to save title. And Destiny will check punctuation on save. You're still responsible for capitalization. Okay, I'm not going to save it. You know it's a controlling example. But that's how you would put a new record in there from scratch. See if if all the fifth graders write a book, and they find them up in those spiral notebooks, or spiral binders, and they donate them to your library. They expect to see it in the catalog. They expect to be able to search it through the catalog. So you may have to build a record from scratch, which is what we just did. Okay. Where are these? They're called Z-sources. Where are these library of records coming from? Here's a list that I use. There's Dallas Public, there's Ohio Link, LOC is Library of Congress. So with these 4 pieces of information, you can actually add to your list of Z-sources. I will bring up Library of Congress. This is all I need to know, these 4 pieces of information. Now you notice it's asking for a username and password. It's not needed with the Library of Congress. If you try to use, for instance, Ohio Link or Dallas Public, you have to contact them and ask permission to use the database. If they grant you permission, they will give you a username and password. They will give you. Okay. Go back up. So now, all the pages in the book, and then we've already got. We talked about inquiry records from title. You can import them someplace else other than title, right?
Whatever, get rid of this out.
Page 7. You can bring them in from a resource database, like Alliance Plus. And finally, if we have to, we can add a record manually. By bringing up a blank template. And then just filling in the template the best we can and creating it. Okay. Now, any questions?
I think Greta did have a question.
That. Oh, please hold on. We're at the end of the training. I've told you everything I know. But, question?
I
Do
do
you
have
have
a
a hand?
question. Yes. In Destiny Discover or Discover Destiny, sorry, there used to be a way that you could change the background, but now when you go to admin, the option to change the background is not there anymore.
I would contact technical support. I get notifications almost daily from Destiny that they're working on that database.
Okay.
And so you're experiencing things, other people are experiencing them as well. It gets changed. In fact, I can't help but tell you that the other day, the IT people were making a massive move to a bigger server. Unfortunately, the address, the URL where we get into Destiny changed, but they didn't tell any of the trainers what the new URL was.
Oh.
So they got about 10 of us lined up trying to get into the Destiny training database, and we can't. That's a little embarrassing. And so I know what you're talking about because we keep getting all these bulletins of, yeah, you can't do it today, but you will tomorrow. or tomorrow you won't be able to do it, stuff like that. So just contact technical support. There's an 800 number, and they can tell you what's happening with it this minute.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to change screens. I'm going to go back to this. At the end of your book, there's a glossary at the end of your book of library terms. Let's go beyond that. And then it talks about an end of course survey, and it shows the address right in your book. It's listed on your screen. So it's an online survey. You can take it anytime. You're probably a little rummy now. We've covered a lot of ground in a hurry. We don't have to take it right now. Take it tomorrow. Anyway, go to that address. The first thing it asks you is a work order number, excuse me. You have to use the leading zeros. 0000 7745. Once you supply that, it will let you into a survey of about 20 questions. I would appreciate your filling that out for me. Any other questions? Okay, it's been a great pleasure for me to work with you. I know you're going to like Destiny. It's a wonderful tool. Do you have your hand raised?
Yes. I have a lady here that has a question.
Very well.
I'll mute mine. Go ahead. Oh, okay. Hang on just a minute. It kicked her out. Hang on. She can use mine.
Hey,
Kicked her out, huh?
yeah, Zoom kicked me out a while ago, and I've been watching it on Ashley's big screen. So, and this is a question that pertains to actually, I don't know if Sandy is still in here or not. So we have two schools that are on the same campus. We're high schools on the community college campus, and we have access to each other's library catalogs in Follett. We both are like multiple hat people, so we both help with the library stuff. And in one of the schools, we have the access to uncheck the box that says only search my patrons. And in the other school, we do not. And we need that box on both schools. And Ashley has helped me look at it, and our other site admin or district admin or whatever they're called has helped us. And we've clicked things in back office and admin and access levels and cannot figure out why one of those schools does not have that box. Do you have any idea, or do we have to call tech support?
My only reaction to that would be that it's within the access level. It's one of those 60 flags that isn't turned on at that school. But I'm only guessing. I'm going to direct this to technical support as well, because there's some kind of a flag. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I were to guess, I'd say it's a flag that's simply turned off at that access level. But you've already tried that, so now I can't explain it any further.
Right. And I think it must be within the school account, because it's the school that I'm assigned to. And when I gave Sandy access, she also doesn't have it. But when she gave me access to hers, I got it with there. So it must be with the school account. So we'll just call tech support.
Yeah, a lot of tech support is talking to school librarians daily from around the world. There's a lot of stuff that's undocumented, but they know how to do it. Right. So I'm sure they can help you.
Right. Yeah, that's what, like,
anything.
We looked up help things, and we clicked all kinds of stuff around, and it looks like it's turned on, but it's not.
Yeah, that's it sounds like it's not saving properly. Like when I was talking to you about those, we were working in policies. Mm-hmm. And I said, don't go to the bottom of the page and work on that policy, because it's not going to save properly. But nobody can explain why that happened, so I'm sorry. I don't know.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. It's been a great pleasure for me to work with you. Good luck with Destiny. Have a great school year. Stay safe, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, hang on just 1